guys and gals, Nary here for Drake Wayne Gaming. As some of you know me on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Violet Memoir. Oscar's Path. That's right, we're going right back into Oscar's Path, y'all. Anyway, before we jump into it, just wanted to let y'all know that our Patreon is now up for as little as $5. Y'all can help support the channel, get some awesome rewards like permanent access to our community Discord server, and full access to upcoming Not Safe for Work videos. Anyway, y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back in. Alarm chain, you were up, and let's go. Alright, you never told me your name. Oh, I'm sorry, it's Wallace. Wallace Stewart. It's nice to meet you. That's a nice one. Much better than Nathaniel. You seem like a pretty decent guy. But in some of the assholes here. How'd you get stuck with this guy? We're on a group project together. We're trying to find out more about what happened with Helen and Lawson and what she did. We're hoping you could tell us what you knew about her and Conrad. The skink pursed his lips at that and looks to be really thinking about what happened. There's a twinge of sadness that skips across his face for a second, but it doesn't last long. Were the two of you close? It doesn't sound like he was too popular with the rest of the team. That sounds kind of strange. I heard you guys are pretty close. I expect the skink to just ignore him or potentially tell him off, but that little spark of sadness returns to his face, and he just stares at the ground for a few moments before answering. Conrad didn't really like going out with the guys to bars. Didn't go with them to pick up girls, any of that. He just... Which one's Nathan? Oh. Nathan is the skink, okay. He just wasn't that kind of guy. But the guys didn't like me too much either at first. I came here a year after him, and being a freshman, I was already low on the totem pole. Then people found out I was gay, and it got awkward. I wasn't like Ryan. People don't fuck with him. It's not like before, where being gay in sports was a death sentence, but some guys can be assholes about it. Conrad, he was the first guy to be nice to me. He sounds like a pretty neat guy. He's really cool, but most people didn't want to get to know him. He loved football, but he was also kind of a nerd, too. We'd watch old movies together all the time. Can't do that anymore. Shit, man. I'm sorry that happened. We don't have to ask anything if you don't want us to. We understand this is a pretty sensitive topic. This probably wasn't a good idea. I go to leave, but he grabs my arm and shakes his head. Despite the melancholy topic, there's a slight smile on his face now. It's okay. You seem like a nice guy. I don't mind helping you out with your project. It sounds like you guys really care. Really? Thank you so much. Where to start? How much did you know about Helen and Conrad's relationship? Not much, surprisingly. I didn't even know he had a girlfriend at first. He didn't really talk about having anyone like that. Really? That sounds strange. Normally guys love talking about their girls. Most of the dudes on the swim team are always talking about their girlfriends or their hookups. He never mentioned her. No, he did mention her. I just thought she was a friend. Despite what it sounded like before, we weren't super close. I only met his other friends a couple of times. We were close on the team and hung out every once in a while, but we both had our separate friend groups. I never even met Helena personally. She came to a game to cheer Conrad on once, but we never talked. Like, water talk. Oh, my. There's 1,000 miles between you and I. God, it's a good song. I know I shouldn't have gotten my hopes up. After all, Helena wasn't directly associated with the football team, but I'd still been hoping that there might have been something. My disappointment must have shown on my face because Nathan's eyes widen and he ends up sputtering his next sentence out in a nearly incoherent rush. But it's not like I know nothing. We might not have been the best friends, but we hung out a lot. I've even met Quinn a couple times. After Helena showed up to the game, he was open to talking about her. He looks out of breath by the time he finished. There's a flush to his face and ears. He looks winded enough that people might assume training had already started. Now the only sounds are his panting and Oscar's chuckling, which just causes the reptile to get even more wild up. Don't pop a blood vessel, man! Sorry, I just didn't want you guys to have to come out here for nothing. Now there's the guy from the bar I hit on. I was wondering where he went. Shut it. Oscar's right. Now that he's calmed down, he's much nicer to everyone, including Oscar. He's really awkward in a way I wasn't expecting. It's rather cute. So you met Quinn? What was she like? Glamorous. She always looked amazing, and she loved to show off the things she had. Honestly, it made me a little jealous. She had guys from the football team falling over themselves for her. She met the team? Yeah, she'd come over to practice a lot. Most of the time it was for Conrad, but she talked to the boys as well. Honestly, I think some of them are more upset about losing her than him. Don't say that. People must have cared about him. I mean, sure, the guys got along with him pretty well, and we're always trying to drag him with him, even if he refused all the time. But there's only so much you can care for someone that's just an acquaintance. There's a somberness in his voice that conveys just how much he believes in this. Regardless of if it's true, it's a thought too sad for me to even think about. I was the closest guy to him out of everyone on the team. I was really upset when it first happened, but even I've gotten on with my life, mostly. I just wish we knew more. Knew more? Yeah, I mean, there's so much speculation about what happened. We don't even know why she did it. They said it's because Conrad was cheating on her with Quinn and another of her friends, but that can't be true. He showed no interest in Quinn. He kept saying she was like a sister to him, and from what he told me, Helena's friend didn't like him at all. So you don't think he was cheating on her? I know he wasn't. Conrad wasn't that kind of guy. He didn't even do any hookups. It wasn't just bars. There's some girls that sometimes hang around the locker rooms, but he always declined them. He just wasn't that kind of guy. Oscar hasn't been contributing to the conversation. He looks to be in deep thought about something. There's a hint of amusement in the corner of his mouth, but it's overwhelmed by the uncertainty creasing his features. Something wrong? Huh? Oh, nah, it's nothing, man. Hey, are you sure you wouldn't cheat on Helena with someone else? Maybe he already had someone on the side. That would explain why he never went out with any of the guys. Despite asking the question, there's something in Oscar's demeanor that makes me feel like he already knows the answer. It feels more like a diversion than anything else. Say no. I'm sure he didn't have anyone. While he never complained about being single, he did mention that he thought dating someone would be nice just to get the guys off his back. Get the guys off his back? Yeah, okay, so don't go telling anyone this, especially Carter, our team captain. He was the one who sent you over to me. He can't find out about this, or else there'll be hell. Skink even makes an effort to check around to make sure no one else is listening, taking extra care to make sure that the wolf is still preoccupied talking to the Rottweiler on the bench. Ryan, if I remember correctly. Conrad told me that a lot of guys were harassing about not getting with any of the girls, so Quinn set him up with Helena to get them off his back. I don't think he cheated on her then. Doesn't make sense, you know? If he wasn't to some chick, then she could have just been his girlfriend instead, and that would have hit two birds with one stone. Oscar's right about that. This whole thing doesn't really add up. Maybe Helena had a different motive. Maybe the diary will tell us more. Maybe she just assumed things were going on. Huh? Doesn't that make sense? Conrad's faithful, but he's always hanging around with her roommate, being closer to her than his girlfriend. Not too much of a leap for her to assume he was cheating and snapped. You'd think she'd kill him over an assumption. There's a flash of that anger Nathan unleashed earlier. It's not directed at Oscar this time, but likely the girl at the center of all this. That doesn't stop it from making me feel uneasy, especially with his tone hissing. Hey now, I'm just throwing something out there. We don't really know as much, man. She might have had other things going on, and this was just the final straw. You're right, sorry. I just wish we knew more. The police just called it off after a short investigation. Just called it solved after a short investigation. Said it was an open and shut case. The skink deflates faster than before. While there were moments of sadness peeking through, this is the first time he's let it completely overshadow his body language. I'm about to say something to comfort him when Oscar Fur reacts first and wraps an arm around the skink, yanking the poor guy hard against him as he closes the gap between the three of us. I expected Nathan to lash out or scold Oscar for acting this way, but he just freezes up. A steadily increasing blush begins to show through his near-translucent scales. Hey, don't be so down about it, man. Very much you could have done. Wallace wants to look into it, so we can let you know if we find anything, right, little dude? Yeah, you've already given us a lot to think about, so I have some ideas on where to start. If you remember anything else about Conrad, just let us know. We might be able to solve something sooner. We'll be able to solve something together. I'd say that brought some energy back into the reptile, but honestly, I think from the way his eyes never leave the otter's giant chest, that there's something else draining his mind from the depths. It just reminds me of what they were arguing about earlier, about what Oscar said about the people he slept with. Thanks, you two. I haven't really talked about this in a while. I've mostly gotten over it. I'm not too sad anymore. And like I said, we weren't too close. I only knew him a year, but I wish I knew more. He pulls away from the otter, who lets him go with little difficulty. He looks significantly better than I've seen him since we've met. I think he was still holding reservations towards Oscar, but I think that bridge has been partially restored. Take it now. Water time. For his part, Oscar returns to my side, but opts to bring a hand down to the back of my neck, gently massaging my shoulders. I can feel the tip of his tail messing around with mine, and I have to keep my composure or else I'll start looking as flustered as the skink. I'll let you know if I find anything. There's a lot of messages between us I can look through regarding where we talked about Helena and Quinn. There's a lot of stuff about Helena's friend, too. That helps a lot. You guys should probably go. Coach will be here any second, and he's not too fond of students messing around on the field. He won't hesitate to scream at you guys till you leave. Sounds like a fun guy. Oscar's lighthearted tone is enough to bring the smile out of the two of us. Nathan looks to be turning to leave when he stops to look down at me and that pink shade returns to his face. Oh, excuse me. Wallace, was it? Yes? Would you want to spend time together sometime? You're a really nice guy. I'm pretty familiar with places around campus. That would be fun. Maybe some of the other members of our group could come too. I bet they'd love to meet you. Right, yeah, totally. I'd love to meet them. We exchange numbers, but for some reason he looks disappointed and a little embarrassed. There's an excitement to him as well, which helps keeps the awkward mood at a minimum. Thanks, Wallace. I'll catch you guys later, okay? Thanks for your time. See ya, man. Maybe try to be a little straightforward next time. Little dude here's a bit naive, but that's part of his charm, yeah? Huh? Yeah, I'll try that. Thanks, Oscar. We'll talk again this time, right? Of course. Gonna be hanging around Wallace if it sounds like you want to as well, so we'll be stuck together no matter what. He gives a skink a wink that must hold a secret sign or message that I don't catch because there's a warm flush that returns to his face. He keeps looking away whenever our eyes meet, too. What's he thinking about? Getting banged by Oscar. See you later, Wallace. Or Wallace. Or banging Wallace. Or, oh god, I don't know. There's so many possibilities. The skink retreats with a nervous laugh before I can figure out what they're talking about, and that just leaves me with the snickering otter next to me. I feel completely left out of the joke. Did I mess something up? Nah, man, he's just trying to ask you out. He was? Yeah, man, I don't know if you realize it, but you caught his attention pretty early on. I noticed it right away. I didn't expect him to try asking you out, though. He used to be a lot shyer last year. That's when you first met him? Yeah, we met at a frat party. It was a bit of a bust. The beer was pretty bad, and the whole thing fell through pretty fast, but I managed to meet a cute little skink freshman who tripped over his words as he stared at my chest. That part hasn't changed. I'm once again reminded of that whole blow up and what its implication for the two of us will really mean. I know I shouldn't be too surprised that Oscar didn't want anything serious. He's told me just as much that he only does casual, but so, you know, water time. I didn't expect it to be that intense. Come on, I think I can see their coach over there, and I already have to deal with one on my butt. Don't need another one. Right. We leave the field in silence, much to Oscar's confusion and attempts at lightening the mood. I just can't get the conversation the two of them had out of my head. Carter, the wolf we met earlier, approached us as we left to make sure everything went all right with Nathan, and Oscar assured him that they managed to smooth it out. But his signature smile wasn't as radiant as usual. It's not hard to see that he's concerned about my sudden silence. It's unfair to him to not address, but I just need a bit of time to sort out my thoughts. Once we're back at the entrance to the East Campus, which is much more sparse now with most students assumed to be in classes or headed off home, there's still a decent amount of foot traffic, but we're no longer surrounded by people. Hey, is everything alright? You've been pretty quiet, man. Yeah, it's just, was everything that Nathan said true? About Conrad? I don't think he'd have a reason to lie to us. He seemed like a pretty nice guy, if you ask me. No, I wasn't meaning about that. He said that after you know, hooked up. Yeah, he said you avoided him. That finally makes Oscar stop, causing me to bump into him in my distracted stupor. Despite most of his smile shrinking to just the shadow of a grin, he still takes the time to reach out and steady me. You know me, man. I didn't want anything serious, and it's not like we knew each other. I didn't even know the guy's name. He was just a hookup at a party. That's all I wanted. But you said it's your rule to not keep in touch with people you slept with. Nathan made it seem like you actively avoided him, too. I told you, it's just a fling. Something fun. I get that, but that doesn't mean you have to avoid them entirely. What happens if you guys hit it off and had fun? You said you met guys at the beach before. Did you avoid them, too? He doesn't answer that, and now his smile has completely disappeared. He's no longer meeting my eyes, and there's a blankness to his expression that I remember from after he had his argument with Coach. Alright, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Anyway, before we go for the night, just wanted to give a quick shout out to our lovely bronze tier patrons. Thank y'all for all you do for the channel. We greatly appreciate your support. Thank you to our silver tier patron, Cade Silvermoon. Thank you for going a bit above and beyond. It's greatly appreciated. And thank you to our gold tier patron, Amr. You're awesome. We love you, and we hope you enjoy your icon. Anyway, if y'all want to get your names in the credits and get access to our Not Safe for Work videos, it's as little as $5. Anyway, I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!